So I'm turning on the record. All right. So and I'll jump right into it. Just already just excited about all the possibilities of just even just the four of us, let alone like you said, Curleen and Whitney. And let me tell you what I just put into the chat, and you definitely want to probably download this too. So the how did I just get in there fast? And Miss Graddick, so she immediately was like, "Do you have you looked at the GovCom chamber? You know, Gov." And so she sends me out to this website, and again, I just put all this into the chat. This sister didn't even think twice about it. I mean, she didn't think twice about kind of saying, "Hey, here's some resources," kind of stuff. And so she sent me out to this website, and of course, I'm thinking at first I was like, "What is she trying to get me to sign up for something?" Even this was 100% free. It took, I mean, so I was glad to see it because I mean, there's a lot of people that realize this thing is massive. Just no one person is going to be able to do all this. So they had a free download and it had all of the director of federal small business specialists, the acquisition forecast. I haven't even gone through these other four, but the GovCom chamber is what I just put the Excel file in for y'all and on the that's in the chat. So you might want to download that, but I want to show y'all what that is PDF. So let me get that. And let me get both the PDF and Excel file. So I want to show y'all this real quick. I was showing her as a standard, showing her resource, and then I'm actually going to take human resources as to show y'all where the I keep telling everybody I'm going through this labyrinth, and I keep writing on the wall so people won't go the wrong way. And so let me get the setup for these. What I'm getting ready to do is I want to get both the when you download the GovCom chambers list, all those lists came into a PDF, and you can't edit or change or adapt a PDF. So I converted them. I converted it into a Excel file. Matter of fact, it took me probably 15 minutes after I got off the phone with her, and I emailed it back to her because I didn't know whether she had it or not, but I wanted to reciprocate, what she had done. Let's see. So contracting folder. Let me find it here. It was in so. And again, this is not random. I literally have a file system structure. So anything that has more than 5 zeros is a substantial folder. Anything that has 4 or less is most likely a research folder or a process folder. So I have where is it at? It's inside of Gov Contracts. Then I have the folder that says, where did I overlook it? Equipment contracts. I think I might went one too deep in. Gov Contracting Contracts. Okay, so the contacts here. And then let me find that GovCom directory, supplier portal, director of federal acquisitions. I may have, let me see if I put it on the note. Facility statement, meet the team, Ms. Graddick. If not, I'm going to pull his back up. There's a glitch, at least for me, when I'm downloading some of the files. I used to could change the names, but in some cases, it won't let me change the name of the file until I download it. And so supplier portal directory, GovCom 815. Let me just go ahead and pull it up. That's faster. Here, there. Those are all training videos and stuff that I've been studying, 5,000 or less. And so that is what I was working on this week. And so I want to pull up where to go. Here to go, comes chamber. You know what? Why do I not have it? Either way, it pulls up into a PDF instead of me kind of taking the time to search through it. I want to pull up the Excel spreadsheet that I gave y'all. I want to show you how massive this list is. And this guy populates this obviously for free. And it's a white guy who said not that the race matters, but he set this whole thing up, and he's got some fantastic videos, but his videos are not popular. So I don't know whether that's a lack of him not promoting them or what exactly is happening with that. But he actually has some pretty good content. Let's see. Over there. Once I'm on Zoom, everything on my computer moves slow. Wow. Text. Load.
While you're doing that, Michael, I know one of the things that we had talked about offline, a couple of us, I remember the first meeting you said that it was best to have the LLC with federal contracts. And of course, I am interested in federal contracts from the nonprofit side and the for-profit side, but just wanted a little insight on the preference of applying as an LLC.
let me
And
tell you
I don't want to
that's
sidetrack from what you're doing, but I'm just
no,
saying,
no, not at all.
so you
No,
find
not
what you're looking for.
no. And every time I do a Zoom, I tell people please communicate with each other through the chat or put questions in there too. And
Okay.
but no, that's actually a great question, man, a great comment too, because in several videos they were like it becomes more challenging for a nonprofit to go after the contract, and they said because the DoD and GSA and the SBA, they're the ones who structured the contracting structure and system. And this is me literally trying to quote from a couple of the videos. And so they said that the entire federal contracting system, and they said even the grants are not necessarily set up for nonprofits. They said because the SBA is who's overseeing both of those. And so they were saying that no, if you're going to be in the nonprofit realm, then they were like do grants.gov. But if you're going to do contracts, and again, more than one video, a couple of them, they were saying go ahead and have an LLC. But interestingly, the white guy that I reached out to, he that particular day that I was watching his live, he knew of someone who was very successful, and all they used was their social security number. So you can be a sole proprietor. And so when one of the people on the live asked him about that, they were like, I didn't have to go through all this. And he goes, nope, you don't have to. He said, but you're assuming all the risk. If something goes wrong, then they can sue you. And you know that's just the basics of why you used to have an LLC. And then there's another video series where there was a brother who's again, and I'm glad that list that I put together in the chat with all the videos so far that I've been watching. These people are in that list. So if you just want to kind of go back to some of those things I went through, but the brother that's in there, he point blank said that there was somebody who never even registered in SAM. He said you actually can win the contracts without ever registering in SAM. And so I had heard that in another video, but everybody, even after he said it, even in the other videos, each person was like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it that way because you're just not prepped for the larger contracts, and you're still going to end up having to probably adjust to getting prepped up to kind of really take on the larger contracts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean they're not making it hard for you to go after the contracts, but I'm going to show you in a minute why it is what it is, and that we all would have to at least once a week get on together. And I'm going to continue kind of going through the database, and then we, or whoever, as each one of us go through the database at some point, then maybe we all get on and show each other, the top 30 things we each found, and then kind of condense the list down to our top 10 from there. But Melanie Graddick, the lady whose website Excel that I was kind of bragging about, and when she gave me this guy's website, this came from GovCom Chamber. His stuff came up in a PDF. I copied all the content out of the PDF, and then I dropped it into Microsoft Excel, and this thing is massive. And so this was the original. Well, the original format. I did the filtering and all this stuff. So this is that entire contact series that he had. And so he has what they call the CO, or sometimes they call him the KO, which is the contracting officer. And then they have a COR, which is contracting officer representative, I think is what the R stands for, at least from what I remember. And so he has all of that in here. I mean, for just about every federal government contracting agency, all that stuff is in here. And so, and if you go through just about 90-some% of all the videos I looked at, and everybody keeps telling you got to get a relationship. And so I've been chasing down in my head how to take this list, put it in a CSV file, and then upload it into. I just hadn't done it yet. I was going to upload it into Outlook, and then kind of put all these people as my contacts, and then go back into LinkedIn and let them find all these people. To kind of try to use that, and so the idea of because otherwise it's going to be more of a static list. And so I was just trying to figure out a way to do it. But all these people have .mil addresses, so that's military addresses and that kind of stuff. And I apologize, y'all. That is my son calling me. Hold on, just a sec. Give me just a sec. Make sure everything's okay. Hold on, just a sec.
I was thinking too, guys, as we just kind of continue to move forward, is looking at, what parts and pieces, we feel comfortable maybe moving in once we really, hone down, and I say in a month or so, whatever, look at going after something. Because it's tons of data out here, tons and tons and tons. You could kind of do this forever. But again, I'm really wanting us as consultants. We have lots of experience and lots of contacts. between all of us that's on this call. So, really looking at a submission, um, and looking at what area of expertise you kind of bring and how we might want to go for something. And I'm thinking, my thought is like capacity building and technical assistance, because that touches, what we do and what we need, as individual entrepreneurs. So I just maybe kind of want to know, when it comes to federal contracts, or when it comes to, launching your business, what is it that, would be beneficial to you individually and collectively in this platform? That was a question.
Yeah.
Sorry about
For
that.
me,
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Melanie.
Dr. Bennett was getting ready to speak.
no, I was going to say, for me, I would have to give that a little more thought before giving an answer this evening, just with this being our second meeting, because I want to make sure it's not just something that's beneficial just for me, but mutually beneficial for the group.
I respect that. And I'm saying, I hope that it can be both of those things, because like with menswear, for instance, that's the workforce, we all have kind of an area. So how could we merge all of those areas of focus and offer something to the community?
Yeah, because as I'm listening to Michael, he's talking about the research end and technical side, like that's my area with the research piece. I love research. So I was like, oh, I could help him knock those lists out, research those pieces, but that may not be necessarily be the piece that I want or I'm passionate about for my business, but if that's mutually beneficial for the collective, then that's what I'll do, because that's, it has, so it's a give and take thing. So I'm open to whatever is needed, because ultimately what's good for the group will trickle down and be good for my individual business.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I think y'all are talking about how we collaborate.
Yeah, I was just filling in space and just asking how we might just start getting some stuff done. Not that we can, make that determination right now, but I was just saying, at some point, like this, what you're doing, all the data and the research and all of the stuff, not interested, not me. I just kind of want to look at the submission and start pulling together the partners and getting the statements together and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and this, I wanted to kind of show this real quick. Did I show the PSPT process on the last call?
What's the PFPT?
Okay, so I literally, we created this, my team created this almost 15 years ago or more. And we've used this process, and every time internally on our side of the house, we've never had a dispute over money, because we map out the entire project before we even submit in some cases, and before any money comes in. But what PSPT stands for is primary, secondary, process, team. And so what happens is that, and this is, it really, when I was the division manager for Bell South, I would go in these meetings and at that level, they would start off talking about the finances. And so probably about a third meeting, I could hear the pattern. I was like, how do they determine who's getting what money? And so I then, not that they had any formal way to do it, there just seemed to be the way they were doing it. And so what I realized is they were designating who was the primary, who was the backup, and then they kind of talked about all the supportive services. And so I took that and put this into this format, and it's primary, secondary, process, team. And what consistently kept coming up is that typically in every business, or if you're an employee, most people don't think about what their salary represents to the budget of their department or of the company. But it's usually somewhere between, if you're primary, if you're playing a primary leadership role, your department's budget usually is somewhere between 10 and 35% of the total budget. Then whatever the backup or the secondary person or a group or team or department or operations, they typically got 7 to 20% of the budget. Whatever the process was, like at that time, we had a call center. We were putting together call centers and that kind of stuff. And so that structural process, it by itself took up 10 to 35%. And then the people they hired, their salaries usually equal somewhere between 2 and 12%. And so this is a little handmade format. But what would happen is, let's say we identify a human resource contract. And so, we could, and this other thing too, and this is just kind of standard project management stuff. I kind of broke it out into just every project has at least 4 stages. Of course, we can have hundreds of stages, but it's usually introduction stage. And then so what you do is you put who all is involved in the introduction stage. And then we kind of figure out what percentage of the contract does that represent. And so, and just as Melanie said, Melanie's like, I may not want to be involved in introduction stuff. That's the, the research, the assessment, the evaluation of how we even pick the contract. And so we may determine, okay, that's only 5% of the total activities of the contract. So it works like a, I forgot what the project manager, not a Venn diagram, but it'll come to me. And so, but then there's an operation stage where you do all the strategic planning and you actually kind of think through, how we're going to deploy it. And then there's the actual implementation stage. And then that's the post and follow up. So again, there's 100 different versions of this. And let's say if we come up with the total value of being 150. Oh, let me start over here first of all. First, what you would do, well, what just happened? It's weird. Okay, I don't know how to do that. Okay, so the first thing is you put the entire contract, everything that's the kind of the project management responsibilities of each one of those tasks. And then you assign who are the people that would take on that particular task. And I'm just going to randomly pick something here. Let's say recruitment, right? See, so we then know that, let's say, Dr. Bennett and also LaQuinia, that y'all are the two that would be designated as the primary and the secondary, right? So then how involved y'all would be in the introduction stage and each one of those things. So once you put the budget here of whatever the total budget is, then the way I have this set up, and if somebody has a similar format, I don't get caught up. Whatever we end up determining is kind of the same too. But you end up putting all the team members, who's all involved, at what level, who's the primary, who's the secondary. But what happens in this system is that once you kind of change and you say, well, the primary is responsible for, 35% of the contract, and you'll see the totals kind of change there. Then the total for that primary's entire duties, even if they have employees and people working for them, they're going to get $52,000 of that $150,000. And then as a team member, we may decide that team member, that primary person, not just the primary, group or department, that person, let's say, is going to make 10%. They know right off the bat they're going to get $15,000 of that entire $150,000. And so this, and again, I pretty much systematize everything. And so this was my way of being able to do that. And we literally could show each person literally how much money they were going to make on the entire project. And so what's been unique about using this over the years, people who we normally introduce this to in the beginning, they're always trying to figure out how to be the primary. I said, they don't understand. We're showing you what the budget is, but you might have, if you're getting 35% of the budget, but you got 30% of the expenses, you really only got a 5% profit margin, but that may already include salary. And so that's just this particular format, and we got all kind of versions of it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you. This right here to me lays the foundation for us going forward, because it outlines what we'll need to do, collaborating to do whatever proposal we decide. So I like the PSPT model. I've seen something similar to it. And again, for me, this is just a very good foundational tool for us to even just start with as we're, trying to move forward and do, even if it's a $25,000 solicitation. It just lays the platform for me. I don't know about anybody else, but it does. Of all the stuff we talked about, this has helped just to lay that foundational piece so that, we can now say, okay, now let's I guess find a couple of solicitations that we think we are can collaborate on, and let's go to the template and start, just going through it and assigning and choosing and,
Yep, I think that's great. Even if we could, without going for the solicitation, I think actually looking at a real solicitation and actually putting our information, because it's going to take a minute to merge, again, expertise and deciding what, what things we want to do. I love this. Michael got all kind of.
Yeah, I like this process. It's very clean.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not good at making stuff look cute, but I'll make it functional. And so that's definitely my weakness. I've had somebody tell me I've got a software team, so we were looking at what this looks like to generate this in software. But we have a similar process to this to actually write the contract or any kind of document. There's a document writing process that we use similar to this too. And so I probably won't get a chance on this call, but we'll definitely do it another. But real quick though.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Because I was just going to wrap up the parts that I did so far. Then we're going to actually do some of the look at one of the contracts.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was asking about the commerce. What's the first thing you showed us? It was something Datacom or something. A site.
Sam.gov.
No, it was the commerce site. It said commerce.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I was gonna go back to that.
Okay.
So I'm glad. And so
Before
yeah.
I forget.
And again, I put
Okay,
the
there it
link.
is.
I put the link in the chat, so feel free to grab that. And then and again, just Miss Graddick, just I literally, when I sent the email back to her with the thing, this guy's got great videos. Again, I don't know why it's not more popular, but the Excel spreadsheet. Did anybody have any questions on that? And then we'll go ahead and kind of look at some of let me explain about the spreadsheet. They had a line divider between some of the content. So I broke it out by comma first, and then I broke it out both by that line divider and comma. And so the first tab is the most comprehensive, and then the second one was by the comma. So it's all the same information. The full table of content of the information that he provided. What may seem just like something that you do in any document is put a table of content together. My mind instantly saw thousands of strategies that we could put together just around what he did on the table of content, because I had been looking for just a succinct list like this before, and I had not gotten it. If I do have it, I didn't, it wasn't as conscious to me then. But this list allows me it actually helps us with the searches. And so both him already have, and he promotes his website by telling people. So, by the way, too, definitely everybody sign up on his site. And I mean, you just can't go wrong for that, because there was no cost. I never did find anything where he was charging anybody. And so he puts you on the mailing list, but he asked that as you meet people to submit information back. So I went ahead and submitted one of the contracting officers' information back to him through an email to just send it to him. But these are the departments and sub-departments and everything else that he has in here. It's just amazing what he's compiled. And so this was just the general drop of the information. That's what this was. And then, like I said, I took and broke it out into the other tabs. So the first two tabs really are the main ones that the breakout of who are the people of contact. Now, keep in mind, remember in the 4 stages that I was talking about, most of these people have to be contacted or should be contacted in the first stage. So that's an administrative type function. There's no way around it, because you want to try to, the moment you identify a contract based on all the videos and even prior to the videos, just stuff that I learned years ago, is you want to start trying to get a relationship with the contracting officers as soon as possible, that they kind of understand that, you're making yourself fully available to have the contract. So any questions though about this or any information that's in the chat? Because I'm gonna go ahead and start on the contracting part.
Yeah, I'll say start on the contracting.
All right. So I'm gonna close these tabs. Okay. So here's the thing, and SAM.gov, and you literally, it's not gonna win out of me just even thinking about what all I got to do right now to show y'all. And what I'm loving about talking to this collective group, I literally was, I was literally talking to friends, colleagues, and even my mother about this. And I got frustrated, extremely frustrated earlier this week, because I was like, man, most people are not going to want to do all this. And so, but I couldn't find any other way to do this, what I'm about to show y'all. Because there are other databases, fpds.gov. And again, I've been doing it since 2015. It was working fine up until 2017. And then it just stopped working. And it was while Trump was in office. And like you said, I couldn't help but be conspiratorial too about it, because I was like, what in the world? How did you take something that was working fine and great and then not working at all? And so those other websites, they work, but they do not give you contact information. I was like, what good is that? That does us no good if we can't get contact information. That's why that guy with a GovCon chamber, that was the list that was part of the list that I was trying to pull down. But it would have benefited us more to have the contact list according to contracts, not just departments, because the mix and match of things that can happen. So then they have another website called USA Spending. I was trying to be optimistic about it. All these are working better than they were in 2018, but they're still not working properly. So what I'm about to show you is the best setup that I can figure out. And so, to give you an idea, I'm in SAM.gov. If you go to, and again, I'll get rolling with this, so don't hesitate to stop me. And so, but if you go to SAM.gov, go to contract opportunities, and then here, and for the sake of what we're doing, if we go human resources, okay, and then and it should have already started populating. How did I do it? Okay, let's see. Let me hit enter. Okay, so just for the sake of what we're doing, that is actually, I'm surprised, a very small list. But either way, it's a 1,470 results. Okay, so because they have a tendency in these databases to give you, I found this out the hard way, they have a tendency to give you information that is outdated. So when I intentionally start broad, and then I just kind of work down, I've been working down from there to try to understand how the databases were set up. So I'm gonna go to update data, and I'm just gonna say the last 3 months. Again, it automatically should change over here. So that brings us down to 265 results. I'm absolutely surprised by that. But all right, so I was expecting a lot more for HR by itself. All right, so then at this point, what you do is you come over here to where it says actions, and then you go to save first of all. Oh, okay. So this is one of the few places where they let you actually put the content information in. And human resources to be unauthorized or forbidden. I've never seen that. What is that? Y'all can see that message come up? I've never seen that. What is that? I have no idea what that was. Hold on just a second. Maybe I clicked on something. I didn't realize. Okay, so human resources.
Michael, what is that under there? It says Georgia Consulting, August 22, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
Why?
that's one of the searches I've already saved. So I didn't want to start y'all with that. I wanted to walk y'all through the actual steps. So I've never seen that message for unauthorized or forbidden response from IM service.
Okay.
Maybe they're working on it. I don't know. Human resources, August list. Okay, so again, let's see here. All right, yeah, something weird is happening.
Not letting you save it.
Because, yeah. See, this is the kind of stuff I was up against all week.
Can we just open it and look at it? Save
it? Well, I can already tell you something weird is going on because it says sam.gov up here at the top. So, yeah, and see something they're working on tonight.
So it's not a valid site?
No, this is the official site. It's just glitchy. And so that's all something. I was frustrated all week. And then, just as I recommended to y'all, I was like, you know what it is? It signed me out somehow. So that's probably why I was saying that you don't have to sign in to SAM to see some of the contracts, but you have to sign in to SAM to be able to save and download. And so it's making me sign back in. Hopefully that's minor. No, then that would skip processes. So I want to make sure y'all see this because I'm gonna tell you now. I definitely got to have somebody else do some of this because and you're gonna see why. You're gonna see why in a second. And the human resources one is I love the possibility of us starting there because it's just again, even if it doesn't say human resources, everything in here falls under it. Okay, so now actions. Let me try it here. But I gotta spell it right. Okay, and I'm intentionally starting broad. So it gave us the 1470 again. Let me try it again. If it doesn't work this time, then we'll go to the other one. And then dates, update dates. I'm gonna do the last 3 months because that means the contract may still be active. And then here, that brought us back to the 265. So something was glitching. Okay, so do the save. Not touching anything extra. I'm just kind of going through the flow. We go 1, 2, 3. Human resources to me is significant. So we'll put the resources 2002. Okay, this time it's giving me the save option. So let's see where that goes. All right, see, then save. I could not find a shortcut around this. And let's see, and then, okay, now save, then do a download. And let me point this out. It did give me the save name up here. Right now, that's one of the few things that actively changes like it's supposed to. Other stuff you have to do. Now, I had to figure this part out. It will not let me, it glitches if you try to change the contract name right here. So I just went ahead and it took me an hour to figure that out. I was like, what is happening? Why won't they let me change it here? So now I just go ahead and save whatever the name they come up with. And then and I just go to download. I got a folder for saved contract. So that's gonna come up, that's gonna pop up in a second. Okay, so save searches. If you try to change it here, it can glitch out on you. So the same thing, I just go ahead and hit save here. Then I go to the folder. And I honestly, I cannot find a shorter way to do this. So let's see, and then I'm gonna change the name here. I'm gonna give it 5 circles because again, I have it heavy. Human resources. If somebody noticed something different, please don't hesitate to come in because I didn't find it. And then it comes in as a CSV file, which is easier to work in anybody's system before an Excel file. So now, and I'll show why that's relevant to. Matter of fact, I'm human resources August list. All right, so then here it goes to the top. So now that entire list opens up in Excel. So I go to, I always try to freeze the headings. So if I go here and then I go to view, seeing the left and then like seeing the top, and then And now I'm going to separate these so I can read the columns. Okay, so now here's the thing. Not this is the part. Again, I just couldn't figure out no shortcut to. So what's the current response time? Because if we've already missed the response date, then obviously we don't even need to look at the contract. And so and today is the 18th. So obviously we don't want anything that's on the 19th. And so, but this, I guess because they do it by notice ID, then this has a tendency to be random. And as a matter of fact, this is one of the most organized ones I've seen. But what I do is I come here, I go to home, I go over to filter, or sort. I want to go to the contracts that are the latest. So there's a series of contracts under HR that don't have to be responded to until the latest October 3rd or October 31st. And then, of course, we got some that we need to probably respond to by September. And I'll show you in a second. It obviously does it alphabetically. But so what happens is, so what I did was I took all the September, Octobers, open up another tab, dropped them in here. So we know now, this is without me even looking at what exactly is in the contract description. And see, so there's advanced research analysis for equity, inclusion, and accessibility right there already. That identifies, Dr. Bennett, right? Just collectively, because we know she has experience on our team, and LaQuinia too. So that is where y'all. So already y'all would be primary and secondary if that's what if the role y'all wanted to play. And us looking at that contract, we would have until September 14th most likely to respond to the contract. But I'm gonna tell you something that literally I was like, okay, great. I thought I had made it past this part of it, and then I actually tried to follow a contract all the way through, and it ended up being a mental health facility in Columbus, Mississippi. And so, but they did not put that in initial. They did not put that in the initial description. So it was an hour later before I got a chance to see or realize that. And so I was very frustrated with that, but I didn't know what shortcut to that either. But again, by description.
Michael, can I ask the question? Are you not able to identify like one or two or whatever, and then open it up like a grant and see the guidelines so that you then can eliminate?
Yes, and I promise you, I'm working toward that process. Which again, I'm glad that this worked out just as what we just did, right? Because so the notification ID is here, but I want to show you a couple of more steps before I get to that piece by itself. I want to go ahead and look at a couple of them, right? So the depot modernization. Let's see. Let me see what else they got there. Defense Human Resource. There's Activity Enterprise Operations Center, and so of course this tells me right here on this. I'm gonna show you what's not working. There's a research and development sources SALT notice. The Bureau in Narcotics. So again, just to give you an idea, that just by the heading, it can give us some idea of what our interest would be on. So the what's that on behalf of the sexual assault prevention. So the Defense Human Resource Activity. So obviously I can keep doing it. Back all these ones that have NA, they're typically not a contract. They're looking for resources. The government's trying to figure out, should this even be a contract? In all these processes. In other words, I created a tab by each section. I want to go ahead and do a couple of those real quick.
Now, I'm sorry. What do you mean when you say they're looking for resources?
So the government has a thing called sources sought. So in other words, or pre-solicitation. So the government starts off by saying, is this even a contract anyone can do? So when they go through that, just like I had the 4 stages, they go through some type of stage process too. They somehow the request gets initiated somewhere in the government's operations. Then they submit it obviously to a contracting office, and the contracting office is like, well, we don't even know if anybody can do that work. So there's like, let's put it out as a pre-solicitation or a source assault. And so all the video, you should respond to some of those pre-solicitation or source assault. And so you see right here where it says source assault, they said because that's what starts the relationship with the contracting officer. So you're actually in the process of nurturing a relationship with them where that contract may not come out for another 2 months. And so we would almost need a team that's doing nothing but responding to source assault, so that we're getting first preference in that relationship with the contracting department or the contracting office. When it's a combined synopsis, I think it's anything less than $250,000. That means that the budget for this contract has already been approved. If it's a solicitation, then that's the same thing. It might be even larger than the $250,000. The $25,000 or less contracts do not have to be posted. So that's why I was watching the other videos trying to find out. I was like, how does that work? But there's a website called Unison Global, and so they post a lot of those contracts. So I knew that before I even started watching the video. So this combination of what they call the contract opportunity type would tell us again what's really active, what we really need to respond to. So obviously, all these ones we even have to spend any time trying to do. But we still could probably make a deadline for August 31st or somewhere around there. Anything that would give us a week to respond to the contract. So you see, there's a stack of them. I mean, so these all have to be responded. But let's say we decided that we're never going to take anything that requires us to do less than a week in response. So that would put us out to the 25th. So we then would take everything from the 25th up and then say, let's see if we can win those particular contracts. So and just for the sake of example, let me go ahead and grab them. Because to me, this actually should be, this is an active list. Knowing what we got now on the team, we really need to probably explore those. And you see December 31st is out of sequence, so let me grab that as part of the August for now. And like I said, all the way up to August 25th. And that was me just randomly saying we think, we got an opportunity to explore it. I did this for probably 10 different categories of contracts. I looked at contracts specifically for Georgia, then I started looking at them specifically by department. And then the frustrating thing about it is that let me grab it. I'm gonna show y'all something in the heading that used to work. And again, why this does not work is just extremely frustrating.
And one of the things we might think about too is some students too that we all might have access to for some of this data.
Yep, would love to have that because then we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, because if we did that, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was gonna say, and at some point, can we jump to Unison?
Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the solicitation. But let me tell you what my frustration already is. Right. These contracts, some of them already have set aside for whatever reason in their database. It does not generate that information. And what a set aside is: a woman-owned small business, African, a minority-owned small business, the veteran-owned small business. So you see, I'm taking a deep breath because I was so frustrated with that. I was like, how do I determine it without going back into the search and then designating specifically as a set aside? You can do that. But I was hoping to find the information here. And of course, I couldn't automatically take a small sample and say that, it was there or not there. But every single thing I've done, none of this information over here is coming up. And so that is key information to kind of distinguish more so that we would be better at saying these are our top 5 contracts. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the HR. Where did I move that to? That was the September list, right? Why did I put those Julys in there? Okay, so I may be taking copy, the wrong information. Okay, so, it's September. Okay, so let's see, where was it? Yeah. So now, the solicitation. So now that I've taken that saved information, and I'm telling you, I cannot figure out any other way to get this database. I tried, there's list. And so, and it will let me identify the interested vendors list, but that's it. It does not let me do anything else. And I called the Federal Service Desk and was like, why do y'all even have it as an option if I can't pull it up? And so let me show you here. So if you didn't notice, I copied the notification ID information. I put it in the search. Just that one contract came up, right? So it's an original special notice. So that means, okay, so that from what my understanding is, no one else has ever bidded on this before. So this that we have just as much a fair opportunity as anybody else is with the SEC. The Securities and Exchange Commission, yeah, they definitely need it. Anything around equity inclusion, these banks, they are not good at it. And so obviously the federal government wouldn't be either. And so I clicked, you see, I just clicked on the heading. Oh, by the way, this is still saved as a CSV file, so I still got to convert it to an Excel file. It's just easier using to work with. So they have an industry day. That's an event. So obviously there's some type of event planning function, something probably that's in this. Advanced research analysis for equity, inclusion, accessibility, and barrier analysis, that kind of thing. And see, so now here's what I was talking about. First of all, I'm already following this contract, so I must have seen it somewhere else. And I want to show where that's a glitch all by itself. But they have a function here called the interested vendors list. So when you come down here, and now that I think about it, boy, I tell you, this is powerful. This is what the sister called me about. I had not gone back into this, so that's totally a God thing for that to circle back around like that. That's her company right there. So she obviously was contacting everybody on the interested vendors list. And I had already put my company in here. And this is when I was just doing the database stuff. I wasn't looking for anything serious.
And was she contacting people on the list for purposes of collaboration?
You know what? I wouldn't offended if I for a moment, I definitely was like, she's sizing up for competition.
Okay.
But like I said, she didn't hesitate. She didn't hesitate to help. I mean, she gave me GovCom. She didn't think twice about it. Yeah. And you could tell she had assessed that I wasn't aware of it. And so that's when she's like, you need to get on GovCom. And I was like, okay, great. And so, and like I said, I put it in Excel on the back. She was like, we both were like, we look forward to working with each other. And so, but yeah, I don't hesitate to yield when somebody's better at something. But go on, I'm sorry, Mel.
Okay, so we can see that there are several people interested in this, and as
Only
a new
two.
person, as a new group coming to make a bid, I'm just thinking initially when I do, go for grants, it's all these other agencies going for the grants too, but that, all it does is tell me who my competition is, and if I don't know them, it doesn't make a difference anyway. So the next step is,
Yeah, and I tell you what, before we get off, I'll show you what that looks like on the assistance listing. And so it is. It's pretty much the same process too.
Okay.
But for the sake of this, there's two things I want to show y'all in this. And again, I did this for 30 or more things, and so I was like, what in the world? Why? I like, they gotta know this is messed up. But when I called the Federal Service Desk, they didn't. They had some sense of this, what stuff wasn't working. But the industry day invitation of PDF on, because the majority of them I opened up, they were, I think the largest one was 200 pages, but on average they were about 20 to 40 20 to 50 pages. So now keep in mind, I love Excel, so I'm quick to take any kind of document and reconstruct it in Microsoft Excel. So PDFs don't do me good. I have a PDF converter, but they don't usually work well either. So I just normally will convert, naturally will convert it into Microsoft Excel. Okay, I thought I was opening it. Let me see. Let me try to open that. There's a sense in me that that this sister would collaborate, that she honestly would try to collaborate. And the team that we have on this call collectively, we could kind of figure out a way either to collaborate with, or at least we understand, what our competitors are, what our competitors against. So now this is only a 2-page description. See, so but they've got the overall. They probably got in here links to whether the rest of the attachments, or they're telling you when the next set of attachments are going to come out. Was posted on what written response may be submitted prior to the industry day, request for proposals. So I mean, there's no way around it. We would have to go through this and kind of see what are the specifications and stuff, or what their expectations are. In most cases, the ones that I did open up, they did a great job of spelling out like every single detail of what they were expecting from me. So, but this is just a 2-page summary. Looks like there was nothing uniform about this. There was out of about 30 or so things that I opened up, probably only 5 of them looked the same. Everything else was in different formats and that kind of stuff. I didn't mind that so much, because that's going to happen. But it's the database part of it that's been frustrating to me. And so, but I'm saying honestly, I think this is something we probably collectively need to look at fairly quick. So let me show you real quick on the database on what's, because hopefully any day now they may fix this, and I ain't relying on it, but it'd be nice if they did. Okay, so what's supposed to happen? Y'all saw, well, I didn't have to on that one because I'm already on the interested vendors list. But what's supposed to happen is a couple of things. Is that you're supposed to be able to go to following, because you see I'm following that. I'm on the interested vendors list, and I'm following that contract. And I think I was showing this last week, but now y'all see it in the steps. What's supposed to happen is I should be able to download my following list. There's absolutely nothing. There's absolutely nothing in this that I can do. There's no benefit to it. I even tried to go through a search following thing.
you can't copy
random.
it. You can't copy it and put it in a spreadsheet or something.
Nope. So nope. There's no way to download it. I even tried to do the format thing here, where you just kind of go through it. And but you see, and then on top of that, when I called the Federal Service Desk, it doesn't even give you the option to change that. It is. It's showing me 10 things for 320, and then on top of that, it doesn't even give you the full record ID in some particular breakout. So I would have to open up each one of these, and so it just so then I thought I got clever, and I was like, well, let me try something else. I went and see whether that populates the database. So, but I at least want to show y'all this, because if it starts working, this is just going to make for a faster way for us to disseminate. I mean, to discern which contracts may work faster for us. And we just, like, every Monday and Tuesday could get together and then just kind of go through the list to do it. But well, I was talking while I was doing it, but I typed in here interested vendors list. Let me see.
Okay.
And so,
Michael, it's 10:30. So
yeah,
we definitely want to go over this, but I know.
Yeah. No, we're near the end. Yep. No, this is the wrap up. And so the assisted listening thing, I'll go through that real quick. But you see, I put in interested vendor. Now, the only thing that was consistent about this, obviously, I can save the file, do what I showed y'all in the process. We can narrow it down, but narrowing down 7,569 things, there's a way to do. And oh, by the way, too, if you start using some of the filters over here, they do not automatically reset. Once you go a certain level deep in the filters, it will not go back and reset itself. It'll start from where you left off looking for the search.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
why wouldn't we like go into the system and maybe look at 20, 100? I mean, trying to conquer the entire federal database system, like when where we are starting, only because we can only answer so many at a time or do so much. Does it make
Yeah.
sense to just, like you said, like, let's look at what's October, November, December, take maybe 20 of those in one category and kind of creep our way in there? And I do understand the other, your part in terms of us getting this whole system together, but I'm thinking about our time and our ability to really do this until we have a bigger team to do some of the administrative back stuff, and we get some students to help us with kind of organizing this data, that we could really dig deeper into like a smaller chunk.
Yeah, so yes, first of all of that, and so what I didn't, for the sake of time, I didn't show on here, but remember I said I started broad and then I started working down. So then I went from the broad search to literally just saying I just want contracts just for Georgia. So that's what you saw earlier when the file name came up, is that I started isolating just to Georgia. I was like, I don't want anything else outside of,
the ones that said the Georgia contracting consultant.
Yeah, and
that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what I was going to do today, and I didn't get a chance to do it, I was going to start going in just looking at the set aside. Now, what I loved about the fact that you had everybody do their introductions tonight, then that my brain exploded on that, because I was like, oh, dang, we got this much talent. I saw a lot of contracts for just about every. Literally, I saw a contract for every person that they introduced themselves, and so I literally know which files now, where they are, and that kind of stuff. So that helped. They helped me think through already. It's like, okay, there's at least 40 things that we all probably could do in September just by itself. And I hadn't even done the HR things, which again, I think we ought to almost lead with that. And so, so yeah, that's one of the pieces that's in there. There was something else you said I was going to show you real quick. It's going to come back to me. Yeah, but no, yeah, absolutely. But either way, there's no shortcuts because the databases are not working. I just don't know a particular workaround for it. And so,
and let me just ask this other question is, there's all these, again, I'm just trying to narrow down in my mind, is lots of opportunities out there, and some with some departments that, I've never heard of or whatever, but would we start with contracts that specifically speak to our expertise? Because remember, I was asking you about a contract that my friend, she she's with DOJ or GOT or somebody. But she said, okay, if I got a contract and it's a construction contract, then how would the actual delivery of service happen? Meaning, whatever we bid for, we have to have within us the ability to deliver.
As a backup, yes. And that was just on even an internal personal strategy.
Right.
Once I started kind of narrowing down the contracts, I was like, I don't even want to bid on something that I knew
that we got to get other people.
Yeah, because I was like, if something goes wrong, I got to be prepared to go to it. They had a contract in Savannah, and I looked at that and I was like, man, I want to stay in Savannah. I love Savannah, but I was like, I don't want to live there. And then the one in Columbus, Mississippi, it was a year-long contract that could turn into a 5-year contract. It was at a facility, and so you technically was that entire facility manager. And I was like, okay, that could be lucrative, but you're in the middle of nowhere for 2 years. And then they literally had in there the work hours were 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, I normally sometimes don't go to sleep.
Which helps us narrow down, because we know of this team is going to be stuff that we can either do locally or do quickly,
Yeah. Yeah, but I couldn't find a process outside of this. So the one thing about making this video, and when I send it back out, then again, if somebody find a better way, don't hesitate to call me. And but real quick, I wanted to show you on the all domains thing, because you were asking about that, and then I think that's going to be the final little piece, and then whatever kind of feedback everybody got on it. But let me do that real quick. Okay, so in the contract opportunity or assistant listing, this is typically where you find the grants and the primary grant. Now that's grants.gov. Now, from what I understand, these are not necessarily the same two things. So there's a mixture of some contracts can look like a grant, but grants rarely ever look like a contract, from what I understand. But you see it right here, it says visit our partner site, grants.gov. And so, but it's the same thing in here. If we said, I kept using community development. I was disappointed that there wasn't a lot of stuff coming up under community development. And so, well, let me try it here. I've only looked at the assistance stuff. 4 or 5 times. So I obviously don't know it as well as the other one. Okay. Okay, so got it on this side. Let's see what it's gonna do. It only came up with 138. And you see, I mean, the first one right off the bat was
Okay,
rural
right
Pennsylvania.
there.
And so,
Rural capacity building for community development and affordable housing grants.
let's go.
Youth
Yep,
build. That's
good.
what I'm
They
talking
even,
about.
you know, I've done some work with you did. Health and Human Services, HUD, and the VA are my, and Department of Labor are my preferred 4 agencies. Is that so each one of us could I even identify that. If you think about which agencies pay for your passion, then as I'm searching, you know, as much as everybody, you know, you may do something professionally, but what's your passion? And so we can match up with that. So you see, I clicked on it, I put it up here. I'm not following it right now. So there it is as a follow. I'm following it now. Rural capacity building for health, development. Let's see, they don't have an interested vendors list, and I didn't put the date in. So what is the date? So but you can say spending.gov. So that's the first time I've seen that. That comes from. So there's a whole thing we have to do on USA Spending. Let's see, credentials, documentation, applicant eligibility. This is one of the longer ones I've seen. That gives you this much information on the first section. So I don't know. I'd rather have more information than less. So let's see. Subpart, Part D, reports, audits, contact. Yeah. So I mean, again, we just I'll drop the link to this in the chat. And so Melanie, yeah, you would be one of the primaries.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
somebody has some questions in the
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then yeah, go ahead. Whoever had a question.
No, I'm pulling it up. Y'all probably can see it on the screen now. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, but that's overall. There we are. I mean, so that is the stuff for today, and that's a lot of what I was doing this week. So that's as simple as I can make it look for the week. And but yeah, I just dropped the link to it. So any questions, comments about this week's progress, because that's what this represents.
Well, I just want to quickly comment. Thank everybody for coming on again. We might want to suggest, I know 9 o'clock is good. Well, I don't know if it continues to be good. Let's just always look at, you know, what might be best for us to spend some time, because the time certainly goes fast and you kind of want to keep on going. So let's look at, you know, what'll be good for all of us, and then maybe have a time to put our heads together in terms of moving forward with process on how, you know, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, what, you know, we all can be working on to help, you know, move the needle. Because I'm definitely interested in us looking at, you know, again, the smaller under 25, go ahead and throw some stuff out there, see what happens, you know, continue to also simultaneously make sure that each of us are getting our, you know, together and ready and able to focus on other contracts, whether they be collectively or, you know, with other teams.
No, that's spot on. I'm not going to go over it, but I'm putting a link to Unison Global in the chat.
Oh, okay. So how about we'll look at Unison next time? At least go in. And I guess before that, or not even before that, but, you know, we've all met each other, but also just knowing that we all need a capacity statement of our own. To make one collectively. And
yeah, I got a process.
And then some of those other things too that we'll need to apply is like insurance and all of those things. Like if there was a readiness checklist, you know, readiness to apply checklist.
And Melanie?
Yes.
If maybe we could have, and I don't know if we could maybe use an app, I can't remember, I'm brain dead right now, the app that we used for our last project to kind of update, the one with Linda, I can't think of it right now, to update. So if we all have action items, we can kind of check in on that app and let everybody know where we are.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Kim. That's definitely.
I was taking that spreadsheet right now. I was trying to import it in the Outlook for you, but I hit a road bump with the commas. So I'm trying to do that. So yeah, just so we can keep each other, so we're not duplicating efforts.
Yep, that sounds good. And that's really, I think, you know, where I would really like us to start. This is wonderful, lots of information, good, you know, but for all of us that are busy, got all kind of stuff going on, the bottom line is, okay, first, who's the team, what we working with, you know, even to be able to grab stuff, you know, just say me and Michael just say, okay, we're going to stay up all night and put something in. We would need to make sure that we have everything organized and agreement and timelines and all that other good stuff. So yes, a project management tool for our proposed work together and for proposed submission of opportunities is definitely where we would love to begin.
Yeah, and I work best with a timeline, because if I don't have a timeline, I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Me
Yep.
too.
Well,
Okay, well, again, thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, there's Asana, Quina, that's exactly what Dr. Bennett was talking about, Asana. I think I just canceled Asana because I was tired of paying for it, but anyway, we could do something like that. I really do like it though, and Trello, because you can actually, move stuff over when it's done and completed, and not only do you feel a sense of accomplishment, but it's very organized. So with all that said, we're hardworking people. Time to get some shut eye. Thank you so very much, Michael. I mean, you got a wealth, so much knowledge. It's just, it's wonderful. And we appreciate you sharing with us. So let us get together again next Thursday, if that's cool. If we want to change the time or date or anything, everybody please just, let's all chime in terms of, what time or whatever details that need to be added in order to make this group, more effective and, complimentary to everybody, because we definitely want to win. We're going to win.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it for me. I'll shut up.
Appreciate you. And if y'all don't mind, I put my contact information in the chat. If you can text me your information stuff as well, or I know it's late now, so I wasn't gonna ask everybody to put it in the chat. But does everybody have each other's contact information and number?
Yeah, and Michael, if anybody's missing or anything, just I'll be happy to. That would be the good thing, is to start a contact sheet.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the Queen's put hers in. So do we have the information that we put in last time, or do you need us to put it in now so we can start a contact sheet?
Honestly, I couldn't remember whether we did or not the last time, so that means it's
okay. So I'll put it in. I'll put my info in real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's it. Night anyway.
All right. Well, good night. I'm just going to type
guys.
this in, and then I'm going to hang up, but I'm going to type this in. And I'm just going to put my personal email just for it to be easier.
Okay.
Instead of the
menswear.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
everybody.
you. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a good night now.
Bye.
Okay.
So we're at
Bye-bye.
9 o'clock next week.
Yep. If everybody's good with it. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Can we create a reoccurring Zoom link?
Only every time I try to do that, the links, everybody have a problem with the link. So
okay.
I can try to set one up, but then for some reason it's
I left the @ sign out, but
okay.
Y'all know it is at Gmail. I think I don't have my glasses on, but I think I left it at Gmail. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. That's
okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
No worries.
Appreciate you.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Michael. This was
all
great.
Right.
Thanks, Melanie.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay,
the Queen.
Okay.
And I do have
Bye-bye.
a Zoom. I got a Zoom account that we may be able to use for recurring.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll talk to you about it, man. Not to hold y'all up, but I have the full Zoom account. It's just whenever I send that link out, people can't.
It don't work.
Everybody's trying to get it. Yeah, so I mean, not everybody, but some people can get in, some people can't. I don't know what it does.
Okay, but, maybe I'll try it next time, and we'll see. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Later. Bye, everybody. Okay. Hold on.